I was trying to tie in the Eddie Nash connection. But you knew Nash before.
Oh, yeah.
So you were kind of the connection to Eddie Nash.
I knew Nash for about a year and a half before I met anybody in Wonderland.
You were kind of the connection for Wonderland to Eddie Nash.
Right. Nobody in Wonderland knew Nash. Nobody at Nash knew anybody in Wonderland. The whole stink came down. See, I was dealing mostly cocaine. Man.
Yet that wasn't Nash's thing.
No, it wasn't. It was cocaine.
Yeah.
But he did do heroin himself. He was a heroin addict. He would smoke heroin, which seems kind of funny, but that was his particular thing in life to do. He did the same thing that killed John Belushi, speedballing. He'd take heroin and cocaine and freebase and mix it up and smoke it on a pipe, bubble pipe. Nobody knew anybody else. I was the kind of go-between. So when I told Ed Nash that these guys were interested in buying heroin, because I knew Ed had a connection with heroin people, Eddie said, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. He says, I'll supply you with the heroin. But you have to understand something. Heroin people are not like cocaine people. If cocaine people run out of cocaine and they run out of money, they won't go grab a gun and try to kill somebody to get enough money to supply their habit. Heroin's a totally different animal, and it's a totally different type of people. And he says, we'll deal through you with these people. But understand that if they start giving you a bad time, or they start giving you trouble, you come to me and you tell me, and I'll handle it. Well, they turned over the antique gun collection. They had sold some antique guns that belonged to a very, like, Davy Crockett's own rifle. And it was a very valuable museum piece. And a few hookers at the Wonderland house brought in gold chains. 14, 18 carats, 24 carats, solid gold chain, hands full. And they would trade heroin for it. Well, I would take the jewelry, I would take it to Nash. Nash would say, well, it's worth about this much. I'd take the heroin back to the Wonderland house, and they would go, oh, good. Then they would do it all up. The thing was, they said, we want all this jewelry and guns back. And I said, then you're going to have to pay the value of the heroin to get the things back. Well, they could never reach a point where they had enough money to supply their own habit and to buy to get the antique guns back. They were under the impression that they could sell that antique gun, which they had sold for a few grand of heroin, pure heroin, for a lot more money. So, Max said, I'll hold the guns and the jewelry for a week. 5 weeks later, everybody in Wonderland they didn't want to go out for a robbery, and they wanted the guns back, and they wanted the jewelry back so that they could sell it to buy heroin. They said, you tell your connection, which was Nash, that we want the guns back and we want the jewelry back, or there's going to be trouble. And you can tell him that we'll sell them, then we'll give him the money we owe him, which was crap. I mean, they wouldn't. So they get their hands on their money, they owed $140,000, $240,000 to Mr. Howard.
That $1,000 figure correct? That Nash gave him $1,000 worth of credit for the gun?
About 1,000, yeah, worth of credit, and then another 1,000 for the jewelry. They were really frantic. Everybody was getting sick on withdrawal, so they wanted to make the big plan to rob Eddie Nash's house. Now, they said to me one thing. They said, we're going to put a gun to your head, and you're going to go to the front door of Eddie Nash's house, and we're going to hide in the bushes, and when Eddie Nash opens the front door for you, we're going to rush the door. Well, you don't do that at Eddie Nash's, because Greg Giles or one of the other bodyguards opened the door, and no one opens that door without a gun in their hand. There was going to be a shootout. Yeah, Greg Giles, bodyguard. And so I said, that's not going to work. You're going to have a bloody shootout in a cul-de-sac up in Hollywood Hills. You're going to have cops there in 30 seconds. I the only way you get into that place is to sneak into it. And they said, well, you figure out a way to sneak us into that goddamn house or we're going to blow your head off. So I said, I'll go see what I can do. So I went down to Eddie Nash. Now, for the last 3 days, I've been going to Eddie Nash and saying, these guys are getting crazy, Ed. These guys that want to come here and hold you up. They are serious, and they got guns, and they're pissed off. Well, Ed was on a 10-day freebase check. Hadn't slept in 10 days. And he was a half out of his fucking mind. He said, fuck you, get out of here. I told you, those guns are mine now. That jewelry's mine. Fuck you. It was a matter of finding a way to get them into that house, because Ed Nash wouldn't do anything about it. And these people wanted their goddamn guns back. They considered them their guns. Nash considered them his guns.
No, I have to interrupt. And the other thing, I got out that you tried to raise the money yourself, and you offered to buy it with your own money, and he raised the price.
And he jacked the price.
Yeah.
So, to a figure I couldn't even reach, because he knew the guns. There were 2 antique muskets, is what they were. Now, for me, I just wanted out. If I could raise the money to buy the guns and jewelry back from Eddie Nash, I could take the goddamn guns and jewelry back to the Wonderland house, give them the guns, give them the jewelry, and eat the debt, and never see any of them again. Nash jacked the price up, and he wouldn't back me up. He allowed me to get involved with heroin people, telling me that if they got out of hand, he'd take care of them. Now, for 3 days, I had asked him and told him that these people are coming over here, and they're going to rob you, and they are pissed off, and they want their goddamn guns, and they're getting sick with heroin withdrawal. He refused to do anything. He refused to get involved in it because he was really fucked up. He wouldn't listen to me. So I calmly went into the back and unlocked one of the back bedroom doors and left. And told him which door it was. And for me, it was the only way out. I was going to be in the middle of a goddamn gun battle, and there were going to be people killed. And Eddie Nash was not backing my action. So I left with a goddamn back door unlocked.
They also said that you were in and out of that house a number of times that day. That's the day of the evening of the robbery. So it wasn't.
No, it was that morning. It was dawn. The sun had just come up.
But the last time you went, which was dawn.
I'd been there all night long, 2 or 3 times, trying to figure out a way to get those guys into the house without a shootout. Right. I was locked into a real bad position. Finally, just about dawn, Ed Nash says, I'm going to go to bed. Let's close it up and shut everybody out. So, I went to the bathroom. I was in the bathroom. I went down the hallway and unlocked the back bedroom sliding glass door, which no one ever used that back bedroom anyway. So I unlocked the sliding glass door. And when I went back, I said, this is the gate you have to jump over. This is the door I left unlocked. So, they pulled up in front of the house and went over the gate, went through the open sliding glass door and got the drop on Greg Dials and Ed Nash, tied him up, and humiliated the shit out of them. They went really overboard. They called them names. They said, you were absolutely dead. We were going to kill you. They shot once. David Lynn fired once. And burned a bullet groove across Greg Dial's back. And they threatened you, They made him beg, and they tied him up, and they said, where's your money? Finally, Ed Nash just gave him everything. Told him where all the stashes were out. Gave him his code. Everything. And then I went back to the Wonderland house while the robbery was going on. And pretty soon, this car pulled into the garage, screeching tires. They ran upstairs. They had the bags full of stolen jewelry and money and the rifles and cocaine and heroin, and everybody was happy as hell.